All right, this is a video, a video about taking these exams. Now, I originally, when I started to do this, I thought, oh, this is okay. Let's just do a couple of these and whatever. And I have found that working through some of these exams is actually, I don't want to say this, but it's a tiny little bit helpful. Now, I do want to say that these people who make these exams must be some kind of, I don't know what the word is, masochist or something. Maybe they make these exams because they have an internal candidate who doesn't have to take the exams and they just want to impose a whole bunch of pain on you. Now, I'm going to I'm going to discuss three things, but I'll probably do this in three different videos. In this video, I'm not going to turn a timer on and just do these painful things and show how I can't really get the tests done on time. I'm going to talk about, in general, what I think after working through some of these exams, talking to a lot of people about them, what you should do and what you should not do. And that applies to all sorts of modeling, okay? Then I'm going to talk about these. I've come across some, about 3 or 4 exams, but there have been many. These one in particular is unbelievably crazy to think anybody could do this exam, what they gave you in 3 hours. There are 4 different sizing, sculpting techniques with merchant and non-merchant cash flows and 2 different plants with on and off peak energy and heat rates, and oh my gosh, to think that you could fill in everything in 3 hours is such a joke, but it's kind of interesting to see these, these horrible people. I don't know, I haven't sworn yet. And then I'm going to talk about what I have found, and I'm sorry to say this, because I am probably the most guilty person of all of doing this. And the exams, looking at these exams and how people try to do this, for me, is a big story about arrogance in modeling, a disease that I certainly had. Oh my God. And when all you people, and I'm screaming at you right now, when you come out of university, I'm going to teach in university for the first time ever in a long, long time. And you think, I have the right way to do it. Or you've wasted your money on some kind of Mazars or F1, F9 class or something like that, and they show you these best practices, which are just absolutely horrible. And then you think, I know how to do it right. Or somebody told you how to do it, or you've worked 1 year in your company and you think, I know how to do it. It is totally wrong. You don't know shit. Okay? Sorry, that's all I'm going to swear. The whole thing, I'm not going to swear anymore. So in this one, let's just go through what to do and what not to do. Okay? Now, so I've re-put I've made a big change in my website. I put this up at the top. Okay. Now, if you go to the what is this? I call this the Google Drive or whatever, the resources or resource library. That sounds fancy. Oh. And then you go into chapter number 1. Okay. And then when you go to chapter number 1, I didn't want to do that. Okay. And then in chapter 1, you can go to project finance models. Okay. And when you go to your project finance models, then there's a folder called Financial Modeling Exams, and I've got some exams, and I'm going to go through some of these ones. Now, the first exam I'm going to go through is, and there's a lady who did this, and she told me, oh, well, I thought I was a good modeler, but no, it didn't work. So I'm going to show you the test. I'm going to show you kind of the attempt that was made, and this person was so absolutely nice. They said, oh, fine, use this, and, tell me kind of how to improve it. So rather than line by line by line and going through it, let's just talk about some modeling philosophies. And this test, I put a little bit of it down here. Okay, and here it is. You were supposed to compute equity project, unlevered pre-tax IRR, and post-tax. You're supposed to compute these, put some scenarios in, and then you were supposed to compute some values and the quantum of debt. Oh my gosh, the quantum of debt. That sounds really fancy. I suppose that's the debt size. And they asked a question about deferred taxes. I'll probably have to swear when I get down to that one. And a table showing the 3 financial statements, a 3-statement model. Okay, and how do we really compute that? And I've learned something here on how to do it. You've got 3 hours to do it. They gave a horrible input page, and here they have a couple of really zingers in here. We'll talk about some of this, and I think I'll talk about a little bit how I filled it in. Okay, and then I'm going to talk about a second example. And again, this one, I'm not going to criticize, I don't think, this one too much, because they had nice, simple inputs, and I believe it was although they screwed it up because they put the debt financing before the operating financing, and it was essentially a simple toll road model. They threw in some working capital, and we'll talk about kind of how to do it and how not to do it. So let's do those 2 examples on this video. I'm going to make another video, perhaps today or tomorrow or sometime. And in this one, I'm going to talk about some crazy exams. Okay, one was a refinancing exam, and one was okay, Taylor Swift did that one. Okay, and then one was one of the craziest example I have ever seen, and we'll talk about how the attempt that was made to do all of these, they have good illustrations again of what not to do. Okay, and so let's get right into it. Okay, so this is the test. Okay, and I've shown you this. Oops, I've got another file open here. So I hope I left this here. Okay, and I have no idea. I suppose, is it possible that this one was, okay, yes, I didn't put anybody's name in here, good. And is it, yes, I have no idea if they gave you this. If they gave you this, which they probably did, They should be this, to start with the income statement and the cash flow statement and put the FCFF there is totally ridiculous. So here's what not to do is not to certainly use that. And the first thing to do is to, unfortunately, and I know the time is ticking by and ticking by and ticking by, and you must be going crazy. And I hate this whole idea of putting these time constraints to see how fast you can type in Excel is so unbelievably irritating. I mean, they really should just say, okay, can you do this? Okay, if it took 4 days, that's no good. But why not give you a reasonable amount of time and not do the nervous thing? So here's what they asked for. Let's just understand. And the first thing to do, I think, is to really understand what they're asking for and try and see if you're smart enough to understand what's completely unreasonable here. Okay? So they gave you some assumptions. We've shown you that. And the model should be monthly. All right. That's not that bad. That's not that bad. And then let's calculate the IRR and equity. Well, that's pretty standard. Calculate the project IRR. Well, that's pretty standard. But then they start confusing things. Calculate the unlevered IRR and the levered IRR, pre-tax and post-tax. Well, I think the project IRR is the unlevered IRR, and the project IRR could be pre-tax or post-tax. So the first confusing thing is why they asked you this. Show it both ways. Show it how you computed it. It's absolutely the first thing not to do. The first thing not to do is, please do never do this. But the first thing not to do is to start putting all the financing calculations before you've computed this IRR. So this equity IRR, that should be way down here. And then they said, calculate these sensitivities. And you can say, my first reaction to these is to say, let's get the whole model built, and then we'll do the sensitivities. But if you, please. Now, I'm going to talk about my model Arrogance and how I did sensitivity and I've done it wrong so many times. And then I started looking at other people's models, and with my idiot arrogance, I would say, my models are better than theirs. And I'm sure you do that. I am sure you do that. And don't. When you get somebody else's model, that's why I've put all those models on that resource thing. Here's what you can do. Go pour yourself a nice glass of red wine and think, I'm going to have a nice evening today. I'm going to start looking at other people's models. And instead of being arrogant and thinking my ways are always the best, let me see what I can steal from their models. Let me think hard about what in other people's models is good and what is bad, what I would improve on and what I wouldn't. And the one thing I would always have learned is get an input C page, put all your constant inputs, and then put the little columns right next to it to do your sensitivities, stick a little scenario number at the top, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and grab those things from across the page. You can use lookup, fine. Who cares if you use lookup or index? I gotta calm down my blood pressure. And then it says calculate the enterprise value. Well, everything so far okay. The monthly thing's a little bit painful, but it's really not painful at all. You just do month by month. And then you use e-date and EO month and or EO month, and you don't get all uptight about whether it should be the end date or anything else. If a project was sold to a new investor at a discount rate of 4.5%, now I do like this. They're using a nice low discount rate. It might be some private equity who wants to first get 20% and sell it at 4.5 on a giant equity cash flow basis. You're going to sell this at a 4.5 equity discount rate. I love it, actually. What is the equity to promoter? So you have to do a little bit of, and it's an easy calculation. Okay, and we have to look at the dates a little carefully on the exit. And then it says, what's the enterprise value of the exit? So your enterprise value, they're asking you about enterprise value and equity value, so you have to add back the debt to get the enterprise value. I didn't do that. What is the cash-on-cash multiple to the promoter on the exit? What an absolute asinine ratio, this multiple of invested capital, same as the payback period, cash-on-cash multiple. Ooh, it sounds so fancy. All you do is add up all the cash flows that you get in versus the cash flows you took out. Okay? All right, that's okay. What's the interest during construction? Ooh, that looks shitty. That means there might be a circular reference. Oh, shoot. What's the quantum of debt that can be raised? So we do have to do a little bit of NPV of target debt service and use a little flags to get that. That's not that big a deal. Okay, it really isn't. Add functionality so you can put an increase. That just puts a little inflation into the model. Not a big deal. Calculate deferred taxes, assuming accounting depreciation is allowed on 90. What an asinine, totally ridiculous thing to do. Deferred taxes come from the same. You compute the same tax depreciation. That's a timing difference, not a permanent difference. Some asshole put in here and didn't understand this, and I don't know what I would do. I would maybe write something that this is a permanent difference, not a timing difference. There'll be a deferred tax balance at the end of the project if you do this. It's just ridiculous. Oh, I'm so angry with it, I couldn't do it. And then do the 3 financial statements and do that really fast. Income statement first. Get the depreciation in there, the book depreciation. Then put in the cash flow statement with EBITDA and operating cash flow if you have a little bit of working capital at the top. Next, financing, investing cash flow, CapEx, and IDC. Throw the IDC together with the CapEx. Next, financing, the amounts you get versus the amounts you get back. If you balance the whole thing, in other words, the total cash flow from operations minus investing plus financing or minus whatever is equal to 0, the balance sheet will balance. And then you just have to put in a few depreciation things and get the balance sheet to balance. This is part of my arrogance. Shell Oil, ooh, Shell, idiotic company with its cancellation of all its renewable investments. They used to say every single balance should be upstairs. You should compute the balance of the debt, the balance of the equity, the balance of the assets, the balance of the depreciation, and just plop all that in at the below. Screw that. You don't have time for that. Just put the damn things in from the cash flow statement. Whew. Okay, so here was the assumptions, and now again, you want to show a little bit how smart you are. If they've presented assumptions like this, you are better than this. You are so much better than putting this thing over here, putting these comments at the side so we cannot go and make our scenarios. Mixing up a time series assumption, which they're all the same with a different format from another assumption. These are really important. This is important crap. It really, really is. So let's see what was done. Okay, and then I'm going to look at this one. Okay, so you can, this is the try. First of all, there's a circular reference. Oh, shit. Look, I don't know what to say. I honestly don't know about what to do if there are natural circular references. Should you use the iteration button or not? I'm just going to not turn the iteration button on because I find it so abhorrent. So here's what the person did in the model. they, first of all, oh, they didn't use A, B, and C. Oh, no. Okay, whoops, and I just screwed that up. Alt WFF, let's get rid of this. Where's my A, B, and C? Okay, I guess I have to Alt O column unhide. You know, please, as I'm screwing up, please get the formats just in a nice way. Don't say, oh, I know how to do the formats, and don't start things in the wrong place. And then, please, that's pretty good. He used driver 1, driver 2, and the sum. Yeah, but where are the units? Oh, here they are, they're units. So that's good. He did that. Or she. I'm sorry, whatever. I'm disguising this whole thing. Okay, that's okay. And then calcs, I don't know what that is. This would be the operations. Now, I would put it's okay to do this, I guess, but, you know, I would put the production up here in one place, and then the revenues down here below. Okay, enough of that. And then, okay, whoops, oh, crap. Okay, see, I'm wasting time on crap that doesn't matter, really. Okay, that's okay, and then maybe we need to move this, and maybe we need to move this to column B, and then we could call this our timeline. Okay, and then, please, this makes me so sad, I can't tell you. Why, if I give you a tool, if you're being watched, you can use your own computer most of the time these days. This business of giving you an old computer is kind of gone. So I'm resetting all the formats first, and then let's just put let's put the OpEx here, and where's the goddamn CapEx? Okay, and this positive and negative, what a waste of time, please. Somebody taught you how to do this, but why in the heck would you not? Oh, God. Oh, this stupid thing. That's the first. I never look at these stupid views and negative comments and all that. EBITDA, okay? And please, the other thing don't do is don't put this in thousands. Just do it in megawatt hours and euros so you don't have to divide and multiply by 1,000 and all that. But at least do this. So I put some stuff in column B. We have column H. We have maybe 7 columns at the top. And we can at least make it look good. Okay? Please make it look good. Okay? That's why I gave you that. Okay? And we have the different color for some sums. And if it looks good, at first you're going to get a lot. It's going to be a lot easier than if it doesn't. Okay? And I'm sorry if it's taking just a second to do this. Do this right at the end so you don't waste time on it. Okay? And practice it a bunch of times. Now, if I say what to do and what not to do, what to do is start simple. Make sure you can do a very, very simple model really quickly. I'm just wasting time as I watch this stupid thing going. Okay, I should have paused the video on this. Okay, make it really simple. Learn how to do just a couple of things. Learn, and unfortunately, what I now think we'll have to learn is how to do this kind of timing business, because now I've seen it too many times. Okay. Okay, so we've got some operations and all that, but here there was no EBITDA, and why? Why would this happen? Why did this happen? Oh, come on. Alt row unhide. Alt O row unhide. Okay. There's no reason to hide this crap. There really, really isn't. You know, if you made the effort in doing this, and then I don't know why this was done, and this probably took an hour to do. And there is no excuse for this ever. And I am absolutely sure this cost a whole bunch of time. And we'll show you how to do this efficiently. And here is the problem with this, is that this little thing right here, where we get quarterly, this right here, this problem that you're supposed to make the monthly, the model monthly and this quarterly. That's by far, I think, the most difficult thing to do. Now, if you want to do this, I hate even doing this with this model. If we have month-by-month models, so let's make, let's go to 300, okay? And then let's put the month, and let's say it's 12024, Shift Control 3, do it as fast as you can, E date if you want EO month, who gives a crap, okay? If you want to put the end, you can do that down here. Whatever, EO month, and put a 0. Okay, so it's not difficult to set up a monthly timeline, is it? Okay, when you do this, do it quickly, make it look good, okay? Let me not be such a hypocrite. Let me put these things over here. Now, they asked for some things to be done quarterly, okay? So, let's put this over here, call this a timeline, and then, so if we want to now switch this from quarter to monthly, we could put end of quarter. So just try to come up with really, really simple stuff to do, and it's going to be the end of the quarter when equal let's put the month. Let's put the month here. Okay. And it's going to be the end of the month when we divide it by 3 and we get a remainder of 0. So end of quarter. And so this is hard. And we put equal, you just go up here and you put equal MOD, this, comma 3 equals 0. I hope I did this. And then you can press Shift Control B, Shift Control R. If you don't use my generic macros, I'm being totally arrogant, like the most arrogant, horrible person ever. But, okay, don't use it. I made it specifically for this kind of shit. Okay, so we got a flag here, and then we can have quarter counter. And here's the thing, and it took me so long to do this. Right, and I'm going to insert another one, and we go back one, and you add the one back one, not this one. It took me like years to get this stupid little thing right. And then we have a counter, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and you notice it ends on the day. And then let's put some data in, monthly data. Now, of course, when you do this, please put what's driving it. Let's just put a 2% in, and let's put, we start with 100 or something like that. And we're just going to grow it by 2%, which is an enormous monthly growth rate, whatever. So let's put 0.5%. Okay? And why am I nervous? I'm trying to go fast as if it matters. It doesn't matter. Oh, God, we better do this and put... And not, see, this is another thing. I am such a stupid hypocrite. Base... and inflated. Don't. If you have to add a line in, it's not a big deal. And you're allowed to put a 1 here. If somebody tells you you can't, tell them to go screw themselves. Okay, so we're just gonna and Shift Control Q, Shift Control R, And then we're going to put our base value here, okay, and Shift Control R, and our inflated value. So put the index separately, and you can put units here and all your sums and all that stuff, okay? All right, so now we have our number growing, and we want to get this to quarterly. Get this to quarterly. And don't use the offset function. And I'm going to call it SUMIF to quarter. And I think you should practice this kind of shit. Even if you're not going to have it in your test, practice it to get ready. And you put equals SUMIF, okay, and then you click on the entire quarter counter, go up to the same value. That's going to be sum if it's 0. And then you're going to just sum the whole row, and don't start typing F4s in, please. And then you multiply it by this little end of quarter thing. And then we press Shift Control R, and you can see what happened is that this one, 303, and then you can use this over and over again if you have something else that now we'll put other. Okay, so let's make that as 200, and just take that one, F4 times the inflation index. Okay, and then if we want to put other quarter by, so it's really helpful to practice some of this stuff, and we didn't need that complicated stuff here. Oh, where am I? Oh, I thought it almost looks better now, we didn't need all of this, and we didn't have to drive ourselves crazy. SUMIF again. SUMIF. You can use SUMIF S if you think you're fancier. You think you're too good for that. I had a friend of mine who just thought he was too good. The same number, and then take the whole thing and multiply it by the flag. Okay? That's the way that's at least my way of, after looking at this, trying this, doing this 100 times, looking at offset function, sum offset and all that, try to get a way that really works. And stop being so goddamn arrogant, thinking you have the best way. You're so smart. You're using offset function. Oh, man, I'm using the offset function. I'm never going to use anything else. And if we press Shift and Control V for Victor here, and instead of saying, oh, I'm going to just type the sum command in because I can do it really fast. Screw it. Just use these things I gave you, please. Okay. Where did I put the... here. Okay. Okay. Control D and go down. And try to use shortcut keys, obviously, that really help. If you find yourself, I got in this big argument with this lady from God knows where. If you're going up here and using the paintbrush, do you know how long that's going to take? And if you think you're fancy by going to these things, what a waste of time! Use some shortcut keys and make your own shortcut keys and stop wasting time on that kind of crap. Whew! I've got to calm down. Okay? Now, after where, well, this is the wrong one. I'm going to close this file. Sorry about that. That's the LCOE file. That's a file you should be using. Now, after we did this, where is the other one? Here, this was our exercise. Where in the heck is the CapEx first? Because you should know that oh, God, this damn circular reference. If you're going to put a circular reference in, put it in at the very end. Okay, put in the CapEx over here. And then once you have the CapEx, you can compute the FCFF pre-tax. And that was nowhere done. And that should almost always be the first thing you do. And once you have the FCFF pre-tax, I'm not going to do it, then you can put the project IRR pre-tax. And if somebody says, oh, there's some fancy little difference between unlevered IRR and project IRR, tell them to go to hell. As if there's some magic little differences or something. I know when people compute the ROIC, there's a debate about how it should be computed. Make sure it makes sense. And then you can also, so you can say, or unlevered pre-tax IRR. Why some asshole, sorry about swearing so much, but one person said, I like it when you swear, so that's why I'm doing it this time. And then you can do after tax. But to do after tax, you don't put all this depreciation on all that stupid thing. Oh, asset balance beginning, ending. Oh, what a lot of bullshit. Just get the damn thing. Just do, before you do, just put, oh shit, depreciation on CapEx. And so the first thing you do is just accumulate the CapEx. And don't put any IDC in here. Because the whole idea, you should know this from Modigliani and Miller. Miller, the only good person in finance, this farmer, such an idiot. No, you just want this CapEx phasing and CapEx. You need that up here, okay? And you can put that right up here, and you can move this over here, and then you can do this. So that the person, the lady said, oh, no, to teach me how to do the fancy sculpting and all this, that's what screwed me up. No, it didn't. If you would have at least got this kind of stuff in, and once you do this thing, you can just simply accumulate all the CapEx, okay, and then you better have up here at the top somewhere, you better have an ops flag. Fine. Ooh, it sounds so fancy. If you want to sound fancy with your ops flag, good for you. Okay, but that's of course wrong because it's not really the ops flag. This one's the ops flag, so it was right. Okay, ops flag. Oh, it sounds so fancy. Okay, I guess that shows you're a cool person. Sorry about that if I'm being mean. Okay, and then you put in some depreciation rate, which whatever it was. Did they give you the depreciation rate somewhere? Blah, blah, blah. Where in the hell, obviously the first thing you're going to do is you're going to move things around, and you're going to put the timing stuff at the top and then put the operating characteristics next, and you're going to move and you're going to fix the horrible way that they gave you this thing. And I think almost all the time it's probably a good idea. I can't stand this circular reference. I'm going to start throwing things in the computer really fast. Okay, okay, whatever. Where in the heck am I now? Okay, they put this crap at the side. Really? 1 megawatt equals 1,000 kilowatts? Okay, thanks for telling me. Okay, a monetary unit. And where in the heck is the life of the project? It must be here. End of ops. So, okay, let's see if you want. This is only 10 years. Equal date. Diff. Somebody taught me about this one. Let's show off. This is such an idiot thing to do. We put the beginning date and the ending date, and then you put a Y here. Okay, shift control 1. Okay, we've only got 10 years. I guess that's fine. So you put a depreciation rate here, which, okay, let's just put in our 1 divided by our depreciation rate. And of course you only get the accumulated amount, you lock it and multiply it by the ops flag, wherever that is. Okay, Okay. Oh, yeah. Shift Control Q, Shift Control R. Okay, and you, oops. And I didn't, what did I not do? Why? Okay. Whatever. It should be 10%. I'm not wasting my time with all that crap. You don't have to put all the rest of this shit in here. Okay? And then you get the after tax. To get the after tax, you better compute the EBIT, which is just the EBITDA minus the depreciation. And then you get the FCFF after, and then you put, just below that, you put taxes on EBIT. Okay, and put in your unit, whatever. I hope you put in euro. And then you put in your rate. Okay? Enough. That's the kind of stuff. So I just think, wherever the tax rate is, come on. The tax rate should be right after we should, project life 10 years. So they did give us that. Where in the heck is the tax rate? Oh, come on. It must be here. I'm just not seeing it for a minute. Okay. Where is it? Okay, I'm going to relax. I'm going to just relax, take a deep breath. Well, I don't see it. It must, tax and accounting, way in the wrong place there. Okay. Fine, whatever. Okay, we should be able to find these things. Shift Control P. Okay, I'm going to. I'm not going to waste time and put this on the internet. That's for sure. Okay. Now I'm going to show you how, given that little background, I'm going to show you. Am I slouching too much? I think I'm slouching too much. I'll show you how I suggested solving this. Now, I didn't have the desire or the time really to do the whole thing, but I think this probably, if you would use that sum-if formula, you could do this. Now, I also put I put Shift Control, oops, I can't do it because of this stupid thing. Okay. Forget it. I put Shift Control D to make the units all nice. The very first thing I would suggest is, so we want to fix the inputs. We want to be very careful with the timelines. Compute this project IRR before you start any debt. Okay. And then let's read through and make some notes on the input. So notice how totally different the input looks here. And that's because they asked for this sensitivity. So you just go and rearrange the input. And then if you want, you can, of course, I'm doing a stupid thing. I'm going to not put a top color in. I have this little thing where you can do a dots on the thing. So by reading these things and seeing how people format the inputs, I did a little work on that. So again, go to the website and download this thing called Generic Macros and practice it just a tiny little bit. Okay, good. Okay, there, it didn't take that long. So I put a little different color in now. You choose your own color, and we need a start date. We can end of ops. Construction duration 9 months. Construction and COD. Put all these dates in. Okay. And then put all the production in. And then up here, every single formula up here. This should have been not blue, by the way. We can do this reformatting. But I use the index. You can use lookup if you want, okay? But do it really quickly, and it takes just a minute. Once you have all of their inputs, it takes just a minute to kind of copy their inputs, copy the whole line for the base case, copy this, and put this over to the next whatever line. Should I do that? Okay, that's, whoops, I didn't want to do that. Okay, I messed that up. But basically, get all the inputs right for the base case. You can, then you can, why don't we do it like this? You insert a line and then copy that base case to the other cases really fast. Once you copied it to the other places, then throw an index in with this one. And it takes, if you practice that one, it should take you a minute or two, and a whole bunch of these things these days ask for some, they ask for some, they ask for some, I'm losing it, sensitivities or scenarios, okay? All right. I obviously didn't copy the titles, and you put the titles in and just do those, okay? So you can put these in, and maybe I would love for you to put in a little spinner box, but don't do that because they're not used to seeing that. That might even hurt you, okay? And then in the model, that's the model we just looked at a little bit. Here's the way I would do it. I put everything in euros, screw this 1,000. Make sure you run that generic macro so it shows you when you took something from a different page. You can do whatever color you want. The sum column I was screwing with, I don't know, the color isn't great here. So we first put in the operations, then the cash flow, then get the revenues, and I put a little thing for that inflation of the whatever, that potential inflation, then get the taxes on the operations, and I liked this a little bit. They had the IRRs were very low. Good. Very realistic in a way. Was this a solar? This was a solar project, okay? And then don't start with the debt sizing till you're finished. And for the debt sizing, start with the uses and sources of funds. Start with the construction kind of financing. You put the CapEx, and this interest during construction you don't know yet. I put equal fixed. You notice we did a very simple circular reference. And how about not going through that right now? But it's so simple. It's so absurdly simple to do that. And if you just kind of put a fixed number in there as a holding thing, that's arrogant too. It takes like 10 times to practice it. So I've been arrogant, sorry about that, to say it isn't. It really is simple, and it really is irritating. Okay, and then they said, well, I think, how did they give you the inputs on the capital? You notice I put the dates first, production second, then free cash flow, then taxes accounting, and then the capital structure, and they gave you a 70% capital structure, and then later they gave you a 1.35 and said to do that, and they wanted everything quarterly. And what you can do then is once you have the total, this should be called maybe total funding needs. You can then compute. Well, let's start doing this is where I put the, maybe you should put it IDC circular reference. So that was a little bit of a hard thing about this one, and then you've got the total IDC here. And up here, really, this is the debt sizing from DSCR and CFADS. It's really from future cash flow. And another thing that was a real pain is they kind of didn't tell you what to do with the taxes, but there could be a circular reference on the taxes. And I don't know what I would suggest with that. I would first do just the simple operating taxes. I would start with the taxes up here, taxes on EBIT, and then put them in later. And then we have that little quarterly counter, and we can get our quarterly interest rate, our monthly interest rate. We can put in what's a repayment period from that thing I showed you. You can compute the if you want to compute the debt size from the DSCR, my suggestion would be to make a little PV factor index that starts at the repayment period, and you absolutely need a flag for the repayment period. And if you're one of these people who follow all this other crap and copy other people's idiotic things where they put the dates in a different place, or put all the dates at the top and have some silly asinine rule that doesn't make any sense, I would put it here. We put the repayment period, and then we have the balance of the debt. And the hard part about this is, I think they said debt equity. They said equity first. Now that's a little bit hard. How about we'll do this? Okay. And I think I closed that one with a circular reference. If you've got, let's say you need to first find the total debt, total equity, okay? And let's say the total debt is here. Let's just maybe make it over here. Let's say the total debt is 800 and the total equity is 200, so alternate equal, that's our total. And then what we want to do is put this equity in first and not the rest. And let's say our financing, how about let's put this as 750. And then let's put our financing requirements. That's what you need first. And let's say the financing requirements are 100 over how many? 10 periods. Okay? And so is that right? So does that shift control V? So let's put our equity as 250, something like that. Is that okay? So, all right. And then what I would suggest you do is put in the equity commitment. And don't start worrying. Get that from up here. You need the total sources and uses first, and there might be a little circular reference. And I would just press F4 and just take that all the way across. And then you put less equity committed. So this was a little bit difficult, I suppose, if you're not used to doing it. And then you put remaining commitment. And then once you have the remaining commitment, then you put opening paid in capital or something, add paid this period, and then you put closing. So that is, you would have to practice this. And to be so arrogant thinking, I don't need to practice. And the amount you paid, so this thing up here is the opening balance, equity committed, open. How we put something like this. Okay, I've never done it like this, but I will in the future. Remaining commitment at the opening. Okay, so that we just take this from our start, and then this is the minimum of how much we have left to commit or our funding needs up here. So let's take this one minus this one, and let's copy this one. Okay, and then the closing is the opening plus that, and we need that. We need the that one for this. Shift Control R, and you can see what happened. We funded all of our equity up first, and then the remainder, and then you put debt funding. Okay, so this was hard. And this would all be month by month. There's no way any of this would be quarterly, of course. I said that, this is minus the amount of equity we funded. And then you can, after that, you can put your debt balance and put an opening or brought forward, BF, BS, okay? Add draws and less repayments. Now the repayments, the way they had them is based on some target debt service, and then you put closing. So brought, and carried forward. Ooh, that sounds so much fancier. Ooh, that's really, really important to not put opening and closing. So you can get the debt draws. We don't know what the repayments are, and we add these and subtract these to get it all working. Okay? So the lesson here, I think the real lesson is to practice a couple of these things like the quarterly. Practice a couple of these things 10 times over and over and over again. If you're going to take a test, I don't know if it's better. I sometimes think what I would suggest is you go from a really, really simple case that I'm going to make a really, really simple case that you should be able to finish in 15 minutes, about 15, 20 minutes. And then you start saying, well, ooh, we've got this equity commitment. Ooh, then we've got this little sculpting. Oof. Then we've got this little equity first thing. But once you practice piece by piece by piece, just practice these kind of things again and again and say, I can do all of that. And don't be arrogant saying, I know how to do this. Oh, I've made a model before. Please, because they're all different. I would be freaking out if I had to do this. So where are we? So we put in our inputs, and then finally we have some taxes paid, and let's talk about the financial statements. Once you got all this stuff up here, then go and including, I put a cash flow waterfall, which just takes the EBITDA minus the taxes paid, and I suppose I should go through that, but I'm not going to bother. And then we pay our debt service, our interest, and our repayment, and we get our cash flow to equity. And that better be the dividends. That's going to be once we have I did this, I suppose, post COD. Okay, and then to make this sale value, which was a little interesting, I made just a little flag on when you're going to sell the asset, and then you've just got to once you've got the equity cash flow, you just use the NPV. What I do on this one, if we've got it monthly, I know this is not common, but I would take control bracket. I would compute the old-fashioned way. Oh my God, I'm showing my age. That you actually can compute a monthly discount factor by taking 1 plus the discount rate, raising it to the 1 divided by 12 minus 1. That's so much better than trying to screw around with the XNPV when you're doing a really flexible kind of analysis. So you take the value at the date of sale, wherever that was. I hope I did this. Okay, so this is the value year by year. You can just use the regular NPV function, valuation at the date of sale, and then you get how much cash you put in versus how much cash you've taken out. And that tiny little IR turns into a whopping 17.75, and you go to your asinine private equity people. Oh, we have a very, very profitable investment, because that's what they all seem to be assuming these days. Okay, and then we can compute the enterprise value. I hope I did that the same way. NPV just on the date. Okay, and then I actually should have taken equity value and added the debt. Sorry about that. I didn't do that. Okay, but let's talk about the financial statements. Just go upstairs and get the revenues. Just go upstairs and get wherever the revenues were. Okay. Up here, we have the revenues, and I put a line underneath the revenues. Same thing for the OPEX. Then you get the EBITDA. Then take the total depreciation. Now you're going to have to compute the depreciation on the IDC, which is a real pain, but go ahead and do that. A lot of times I might do that right up here. I might just put depreciation on IDC. Okay, and if you forget to do that, so what? At least get it, and so you accumulated IDC. and then you put your depreciation rate. By the way, how much time have I spent on this so far? Almost an hour. So look at this. You only have 3 hours, and I haven't done everything. And so, but maybe we have a chance in 3 hours of getting a lot of this stuff done. Maybe, maybe not. And then you can have IDC depreciation. Okay, so this depreciation up here, I might even put another line down here for less IDC depreciation. Okay, and then you can get your EBIT. Of course, I need to subtract the other one, obviously, and then you've got your interest upstairs. You get that. You've got your taxes computed up here. I didn't work through that. This is not easy in 3 hours, actually. Typical. But at least, at least get the format right. At least get the project IRR. At least show you know how to do some of this stuff with debt. And if you didn't finish absolutely everything, fine. But once you get the net income, and then do this 3-part on the cash flow. Part 1. Get the EBITDA and the taxes from up here. You've already got all that stuff. Operating cash flow. Go up and find the CapEx, put that as a negative, and put the IDC as a negative. There we go. Okay, and then you've got the investing cash flow. And then see how much equity finance you're able to get from outside, people putting money in, how much debt financing you're able to get, the interest expense, not the IDC. Okay, and this is quarter by quarter. Okay, and then repayment, and again, that's quarter by quarter. You have to use the sum if little thing. And then finally the dividends, and those should really be quarterly. You should wait with those, okay? And then you get the total investing cash flow. Just a minute. We're kind of assuming that the cash flow comes in quarter by quarter, by the way. Otherwise, there'd be a little cash balance. Or did I put a cash balance in here? Yes, I put a cash balance in here because we get this cash here, and then we repay it from when we pay our dividends. I got a little fancy with that. But again, it's just the sum if. Okay, now if you have all of this and it all balances, then on the gross plant, just take those CapEx and subtract the last CapEx. Take the IDC above from the cash flow statement. So what I did is just took this line and accumulated this line and put it as positive. Accumulated this. Take this depreciation up here and accumulate the depreciation. Then you get your net assets. For the debt, take the debt you've issued in the cash flow statement and subtract the repayment. And then you've got the debt balance. And for the equity balance, I would put in an opening balance, add the draws, add the income, subtract the dividends, and then you get a closing balance. And then your whole balance sheet is finished, and you've got it. And up here, I didn't go through the cash flow waterfall enough, but you need to kind of just walk through the EBITDA minus the taxes, and I think there was a little section on the taxes paid. Okay, I'm going to save that. I think I put that on the website. Let's stop here. I have another. No, yeah, I'm going to talk about another what not to do example. How about I'll talk about that in the context of 3 different cases and an absurdly unreasonable kind of case. Okay? So let's stop this video.